Margaret Levette here. You know, Womail magazine opened up a list of 25 powerful women to follow the month of March 2021. I'm continuing those conversations. And this conversation today is with a transformation life coach who knows all too well what it feels like, what it's the experience of leading authors to best-selling author status over on Amazon in 4 categories. Many of these authors were first-time authors. Her mantra is do it scared. I want to share with you my conversation with Dawn Lieck.
Welcome to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. This podcast was created for the boomer woman leaving corporate, and now you're looking to reinvent yourself, become an author, an entrepreneur, a podcaster. Well, each episode will leave you with clarity. You will come away with the yes, I can and yes, I will reinvent myself mindset. So come on, let's do this. I'm your host, Margot Levette.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another brand new episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Well, you know, I'm a kind of a new kid on the block when it comes to this thing of entrepreneurship. So every chance that I get to speak with a woman who's been in the biz for a while, I don't care if she's an author, she's an attorney, whatever, I'm always honored, and I have 50 billion questions. So tonight is the same way. I don't know whether or not everyone understands what a transformation life coach is all about. But when I look at what's going on in the world, how it is whirling and twirling so fast, I have to believe that we need people to help us understand what we can do with our lives. So tonight's guest is a transformational life coach. Oh my goodness, she is a best-selling author and CEO of a couple of businesses. So thank you, Dawn Lieck, for joining me here today. I appreciate it.
And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you, for sure.
You're doing some enormous work. You really, really are. First of all, I want everybody to be sure that they understand what a transformational life coach is all about, because I'm not sure that I really understand, but I know that it's valuable work when we look at what's going on in this world.
Well, you know, it's such an organic and diverse thing, being a transformation life coach. And the reason I chose the word transformation is that it encompasses so many different things. It can be transformation of, your mindset mastery. It can be transformation of your health and wellness, weight loss. It can be transformation of shifting from wanting a business to becoming an entrepreneur. My thing is that I coach on many different things, but I say that not to say that I am the jack of all trades and the master of none, because I do not coach on anything that I have not personally experienced. I'm not the type of coach that will just welcome everyone in and say, oh, yes, we can fix that, just for the dollar. That's not me. And so when I have run across, people that say, hey, I would love for you to help me, guide me through this journey of this. And I am very quick to say, you know what, that's not an area that I'm experienced in, but I have a great coach for you, because of course I have a lot of friends that are coaches as well. Perfect example, health and wellness. I can coach on health and wellness, and I am a certified health and wellness coach. However, I don't specialize in something like keto. But I have a very good friend who is a keto coach, so I just, put people right on. But it's any type of transformation. I absolutely adore transformation of any kind. It's just such a miraculous thing to see.
Well, I tell you, I am so glad I'm glad we started out with that first question. It just kept nagging at me. I thought, no, start here for clarification, because we have so many people who are coaches and they seem to be a jack of everything. And you kind of wonder, and I think that they're giving the industry a bad name. So you come to people from experience, been there, done that. Wow. What better angle is that?
Right, right. Because I don't feel, I mean, and I'll use just as an example again, if you are, to me, this is me personally, and I'm sure that I'm not alone, but if I've had a weight issue my entire life. And so I've lost 250 pounds, but I'm not comfortable going to a coach that, and nothing against them. I just don't feel that the connection is there. If I'm going to a coach that is at their ideal weight and has always been at their ideal weight, never had a problem with weight, weight issues at all, or with food or anything like that, because that person cannot like totally relate to me. They cannot connect to where my mindset is at because they've never experienced it. So I feel like if you are going to get a coach, it has to be someone that can personally just totally mesh with what you're going through. Because if not, they school books tell us a lot, right? I mean, there's book smart and then there's life smart. And so if someone's lived through it, they're going to know exactly where you're at. They're going to know what you're feeling. They're going to be able to relate to that. Therefore, they can help you, if they've gone through it and they've succeeded and they are on the other side of it, they can easily coach you through it, with integrity. I
Yes,
say integrity.
I love that. If you haven't been there, don't try to tell me anything. It's just that simple. If you haven't lived it and you've gone through and you are on the other side, uh, don't try to tell anybody. That's what's so precious about you. That's what I love about you. I love something else that I read about you. You call yourself a mirrored portrait of what it means to be a Renaissance woman. Oh, I've heard of the Renaissance man, but the Renaissance woman. Take us there, Dawn. I'm sure that how the conversation is started, it links right back to you being a Renaissance woman. Take us there.
I just learned, and a little bit about my story is when I was 45 years old, I woke up one day, and that was the day that I was at that 400 pounds, right? I was at that 400 pounds. I was absolutely miserable because I had no clue at that point in time in my life at 45 years old. I had no clue who I was. I was completely lost because I had spent my entire life up until that point catering to everyone else's needs and doing whatever I was supposed to do, what had been instilled in me, from childhood. This is what a woman does. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a great daughter, and you go to work and I had everything. I really did. I had everything that society says that we should have and be happy with. I had a phenomenal paying job. I had worked my way up the corporate ladder. I had a 20-year marriage. I had the house, I had the cars, I had the money, I had, the designer handbags. I had everything except for myself. That was the one thing that was missing. And so I really did the scariest thing in my life. I just totally flipped it upside down. I left the, $250,000 job. I left that. I just left it. I left the 20-year marriage. I left the entire state that I was born and raised in. And I just started a new life. I literally flipped it upside down and started over. And at that moment, it wasn't something that I just did, on the flip. It was well thought out. But that day that I realized that I had lost myself, that was the day that the plan started. It's like, I cannot continue living this life that is not for me. I had everything that they said I should have, and I was miserable. So it wasn't it for me. And, we can't always fit into the molds. And I sure tried for a long time. And, so that's the Renaissance thing. I just went for it. And when I tell you, It was the scariest and hardest thing I've ever done in my life because I'm very much a creature of habit. Like when I change around my living room furniture, it gives me anxiety. And I tell this and people laugh at me. They're like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, really, it gives me anxiety because it wasn't like it was. And this doesn't go where it was supposed to go. And so for me to do what I did, oh my gosh, it was devastating. It was a devastating time. And people say, I could never do that. I could never make those changes and just flip my life upside down like that. My life would just fall apart. And you know what? You are absolutely correct. Your life will completely fall apart. And when it all falls down around you and it falls to the floor, you just simply pick back up what serves you, leave the rest there, and you walk away. And that was it. That's where the Renaissance comes from, girl. I just did it. I just did it. And it took a while to adjust, of course, but I am living my best life. I'm being true to myself. I'm doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. And it's just been the best thing ever.
And you are helping others understand by way of leading. What a story. Kind of reminds me of mine. I left corporate after 26 years. They didn't fire me. I quit too. So I can relate to that. Kudos, Renaissance woman. I love that. So now take us to Finally Free. It sounds like that is your latest bestseller. I I can't remember how many authors you have in that book, but I know there's more than two or three. So that was a big juggling act. That was a lot of work. So take us on that journey because you brought so much joy and pride. And you made some first time authors, best-selling authors. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. It was just the most amazing journey I have ever been on. Um, Finally Free, just resonates all through everything that I do. The name of my company is Finally Free LLC. I'm just, everything's finally free. And that all goes back to that move I made at 45 years old. It's like we think we can't make changes, big life changes after we hit a certain age. We think, okay, if we're going to like flip things around, that needs to happen when we're 20 years old or 30 years old at the most. You don't do that when you're 40, 50, or 60, right? And so, but it was the process of me becoming finally free. I was myself. I could be me. And so throughout that journey, I just stated how rough it was. And so I've kind of focused my work on helping people. And it's not just women, men are in the same position. So I do coach both men and women along a journey to free themselves. And so I thought, why not a book anthology and put a collaboration of authors together and have them tell their story because it's freeing. It's a healing process to tell your story. And it's one thing to talk about your story. It's another thing to put it in print and it's there forever. And, you're putting it out there to the world. And so it's kind of a release. It's just a lift that, people feel when they do that. So there's 21 authors in the book. And the premise of the book was telling a story of how they rendered fear powerless over their lives and just reigned triumphant on the other side. And the stories are just, oh my gosh, they are phenomenal. And the transformation that I have been blessed as the visionary, the transformation that I have been blessed to see in these authors is just nothing short of a miracle. I mean, I had some of the authors just really had no voice at the beginning. They had lost their voice completely. They were just in a different place. And now, we're 4 months into it. They've hit, they're like you said, number one bestsellers in 4 categories. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was just amazing. They are doing things like three of the authors have launched their own anthologies in the midst of this project. One of them started her own TV show. Numerous of them have started podcasts. It's just really something to see. And so they have become finally free. And it was all through the process of writing and getting it out there and releasing it. It was basically, they were chained. And now the chains are broken. And oh my gosh, they were like making me dizzy. They're doing so many different new things. And I just love it. I love it.
Like the butterfly, there's the butterfly on the cover of
Yes.
the magazine. Such a beautiful, oh my goodness. You just give me chills just as you speak of it. And I did read a couple of chapters because I had the privilege to meet some of the authors. And it's just amazing what happens when a person, and you don't need a whole lot of words. Have you found that to be so, Dawn? You don't need a whole lot of words. You just need an opportunity.
Just the opportunity. And, with this project, a lot of times with an anthology, a book anthology, and, I know from some of my past experience, basically my experience was I got a chapter in the book and I got a graphic saying, look at me, I'm an author in this book. And then I got, a small book launch at the end of it. And then that was it. And I was sitting on piles of my books, collecting dust in the office because I didn't know how to sell my book. I didn't know how to monetize it. I didn't know how to get my story out there, get my story heard. So when I do, that was my first project, and I'm in the midst of my second one already. But what I love to do most is to give the authors the opportunity to come on shows like yours. Because, if you are courageous enough to share your story or write about anything, you deserve for your voice to be heard, not just in your own zip code, not for the book to only be purchased by your friends that are buying it to support you. And Lord, we don't even know if they read it, but they buy it. Your sister, your mom, and them, they all buy it. Just because, but I wanted their voices to be heard nationally and internationally. So each one of those authors guests on 6 to 7 shows a piece that have just been broadcast everywhere. And so again, that helps with the release of what has been holding them, what has been binding them. They're talking about it. They're getting it out there. They're being welcomed like people like yourself, Margot, onto these shows. And they're able to speak about it, where at the beginning they couldn't even say the words out loud. And so it is just the ultimate transformation, the ultimate. So,
wow. So many people need what you are offering. They just need it. They are chained, lost their voices. Some women, do you think that they never really had, men and women? I understand you have some men in the anthology also, but when you look at it, men and women have some been without their voice for years and years because of an incident or upbringing, or what are you finding concerning that?
I think that most times it's from a specific traumatic incident, from what I'm seeing. But a lot of times, as well, it's from upbringing. It's from, from being a child, being seen and not heard, or, a traumatic experience in childhood, which develops us as an adult, and how we act and interact with people and in our adult lives. It just all, but once they can come to terms with it and actually be strong enough to put it out there, it's like it's just gone. It's like a distant memory, but it's like just getting the elephant out of the room.
Wow. And then I think of the people who are listening. Every individual is going on 5, 6, 7 different podcasts. That's the exposure to so many different ears and eyes, how many people they are helping globally. It's like a movement that you started, This is going to catch on and really set people free.
Right. And that was my entire vision for the project, was to actually be, as you say, a movement, so to speak, just because I think back to when I was going through what I was going through. And if I would have been able to just read a book like this, to see that other people had gone through things, maybe not the exact same thing, but things that were, maybe close to what I was going through. I could know that there was light on the other side when I was going through it. And so it not only heals the writer, it helps to heal the reader. And so that was the whole vision. That's why I wanted their voices. I wanted them to not just have a chapter in a book that collects dust. I want it to be part of their legacy. This is what I did. This is the people that I helped, just by being transparent, because it's not easy. It's not easy to put yourself out there like that.
You used the word that was right on my mind. It is on us as authors, podcasters, podcast guests. It is on us to be transparent. And as my mama used to say, don't come on there popping your lips. People don't care about that. They care about what you are bringing to, what can they relate to? Are you finding that to be so, pretty much?
Absolutely. If, we know that in our lives, that at some point in time, there has been one word that's been said to you, or there's been one sentence that's been said to you, or one paragraph that you've read that has just affected the entire trajectory of your life. Now, sometimes it's a good word, and sometimes it's a bad word. Sometimes it's something that's said to you in a negative manner, that instills beliefs in you that aren't necessarily true. They're someone else's beliefs. So yeah, definitely agree with that.
Wow. I just love that you set the tone for the authors. I can tell that now. When they come in, you set the tone for what the book is all about, how it's going to be crafted. The past chapters are put together like this, and they have to know. I have a feeling that you are a truth bearer, and every book that you put out is going to be one centered on truth, transparency, and ownership. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Because if I use the word fakery, and we're seeing fakery so much. We're seeing and this and I know we'll kind of talk about it, but my next book is called Drop the Mask, Share the Crown. And dropping the mask is about the fakery. It's about, putting our best cute face on social media and saying, look at me, I'm doing this, this, and this, and I'm doing it all by myself. And aren't I great? No, there's someone behind the mask. There's someone behind you, because nobody does anything fantastic by themselves, solely by themselves. And so,
Dawn, say that again, because you know what? There's another author that's putting out, well, she's a podcaster, and she always said, we don't ask for help. Help me do this project. Help me find someone who's good at this or that or the other. We want to do everything by ourselves, and we just don't ask. So will you make that statement again? There's a person behind the face.
Yes, there's a person behind the face. There's a person behind the mask. You cannot do anything phenomenal by yourself. And so that is what the new book is entirely about. That it's about collaboration. And we're afraid to collaborate, right? We don't want to collaborate because someone will steal my ideas or some. Okay, now let's think about this. Maybe 1% of the people will steal your idea. So you just have to, what about the other 99% that you can work side by side with and create something that is epic, right? And so we also have, I just feel that right now in this time is the time and like you said, I have a focus and I have a mission and a movement to create in everything I do. And so we're all called to do certain things, and you just got to be obedient and do what you're called to do. So this new project has been given to me. It's women of all races and ethnicities coming together as one people, to help break down the barriers of divide that our society is seeing right now.
Yes.
And so, it's stories of, personal stories of collaboration, how you've been successful with it. It's different stories about, sometimes people are an expert collaborator. And so maybe they're going to give some tips in their chapter. There's also, a chapter on collaboration versus competition, because we have to learn to work together, no matter what our race, our size, our religion, whatever it is. If we just take the mask off and understand that we are not all that in a bag of chips by ourselves, but we can be the whole darn chip factory together, right?
I love it.
Yeah. The whole chip factory. We can be the whole Frito-Lay. I mean, all of it, all of that. If we just work together, you can just accomplish so much more.
Yeah. And we won't be burned out, and it will be airtight, and it will be a product that serves more people than one person could ever serve also.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Give us more information, Dawn. How do we get in contact with you to be a part of this anthology? How does a person work with you as far as transformational life coaching? How do people, and of course, where do we buy the book, Finally Free?
I'm going to say that, in the midst of everything that I've been doing, I am like the only one that has not set up a link yet to purchase the book. And I'm going to say also that, a lot of people asked, you didn't even put a chapter in the book. How could you not put a chapter in the book? And in Finally Free, I simply, from the beginning, it was clear to me that anthology was not a book that I would be putting a chapter in, because it had nothing to do with me. It was not about me. It was about those authors. And so I was just a vessel for that transformation of all of those authors. So I have let all of my authors sell books until they can't sell books anymore. So I haven't created a job form yet to be able to buy books from me, because I want them to have their sales. But anyways, if you would like to have a book, please just contact me. I have plenty of them here. You can contact me. My email is finallyfree1, the number 1, LLC@gmail.com. And I am on Facebook, and probably the quickest way to get to me, because my phone is an extension of my hand, is on Facebook through Messenger under Dawn Lieck.
That works. That's going to be the fastest way to get a hold of you.
Yes.
All right. Wow. Team lead woman for Habitat for Humanity. You are a woman you have your hands in a little bit of everything. You are phenomenal. I thank you for your transparency, for your honesty, for your time. I really do.
Oh gosh, I am so grateful to you, for having me on the show and having some of the authors on the show. It means the world to them. And again, I mean, you are the vessel to voices being heard. What you do in your show is so phenomenal, and it's so important what you do for people to be able to have their voice and be able to spread that. And so we appreciate you so much. So much.
Thank you, Dawn. I remember when I didn't have my voice. Even podcasting was a hobby, but then I lost my voice and I had to get it back again. So it's an honor to have this platform. So Dawn has told us how to get in contact with her, where we are able to get a copy of the book. And this Renaissance woman is going to be back because we are opening up the show, I think, 2 more times. And we're going to have authors on, and they're going to talk about their chapter, their journey. And we're going to dig down as deeply as we can in that amount of time. So we're going to have more coming from Finally Free. We really, really will. So I'm Margot Levette, her business, her voice, her conversation. It's always so hard to close out these really, really good conversations. And it looks like everyone is a good conversation. But I'll be back next week with another episode, her business, her voice, her conversation. In the meantime, wear your mask and be sure to wash your hands, all right? Because I need to see you right back here. All right. Bye-bye now.
I want to thank you for listening to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Couple of things that I want you to do. Right now, go to my website, pick up a copy of Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention, how I went from game show hopping to international show host, author, and speaker in 1 year. Number 2, please freely listen to each and every episode. Share them out with your family, friends, the men in your lives. And then number 3, get in contact with me, one of the experts that have been on the show, because I want to make sure that you reinvent yourself. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode here on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.